I think Joan really made me think a lot about my whole background and all the different directions that I could go and all the different things that I've done. And she just really made me drill down inside myself to really think what my passions were and think of what was going to make me happy, and not just like the standard candid answer. And just really, she made me work hard to really think about it. Joan really taught me that in order to know where I was going to go and be happy and utilize all my basic skills and things that came naturally to me, she really had me think a lot about where I came from. Joan really had me take a look at all those different opportunities and what made me successful, what made me happy, what made me just kind of get excited about going to work every day. And she said, take a look at all those things through all the years, from the sales and the volunteer things and organizing big things in the country of Japan and then coming to Buffalo. And she said, think about what kind of a career, and she steered me to all the different places and kind of working through, the website and working through the different links. What kind of a career path could you encompass and incorporate all those kinds of skills? And things that she came up with were things I would never have thought of. Career paths I never would have thought of. So she really made me think about, how do you reinvent yourself? How do you really take a look at all the things you've done? While on a piece of paper, it might seem, wow, she's been all over the place. It's a real mishmash, and like you've done all these different things. But how do you rope all that in and really reinvent yourself to say, I've got these skills. I've done that more so than anybody else. And how do you package that? How do you reinvent yourself and package that and then move forward? So she's been terrific in that. And I feel very happy about moving forward, in the next thing I'm doing. The website helps you walk through the different steps. And while that's so critical, was for me anyway, because it really made me stop and think, how do you only have a certain amount of opportunity, time to talk to the employer. Yes, you have to summarize yourself and you have to talk in current language and current buzzwords, and having not worked, if you will, for all these years, not only did I not know how to put a resume together, I had no idea how to put a couple sentences together or a brief overview of myself in today's language. And she practiced with me, and that helps with all the different ways, it steps you through on the website. It's extremely helpful. Because honestly, I really had no idea how to put a resume together. I mean, obviously I had old resumes from literally back in the 70s and the 80s, but it's a totally different format now. And I remember when I first brought my resume to her, and she was like, okay, well, I want you to go through this and we'll kind of step through it and explain the format and why it needs to be a certain way, because it's just so different now. So many things are online. You don't necessarily get that chance to have a real set of eyes or a real person looking at it initially. So between Joan talking to me and going through the website, just how to look at a job description, pick out the keyword, to get a yellow highlighter and highlight the keywords in the job description, and then make sure you have those words somehow in the body of not your cover letter, but your resume. Her samples online on the website, her samples of all the cover letters have been and continue to be extremely helpful. And while you don't follow it exactly, it gives you such a great framework to start from. And it's so different than how I used to write cover letters and resumes 30 years ago. I think confidence really starts from feeling like you're very prepared. I mean, you can look nice and dress the part, but I think what has been so helpful with Joan and the whole program with Joan is that because she steps you through it, you really gain confidence at each portion of the process, if you will. So by the time you're really ready to go out to actually meet with a potential employer, I think that you've been building upon the confidence. And the other thing that's so critical, I think when you find yourself suddenly unemployed, it's very depressing to sit home, and it's very lonely. And I think by having a place to go to that's encouraging and supportive online, and be able to go to that every day and have it, just keep working you through the next step and the next step, it sort of continues to build your confidence right on up until the interview day. So I think being prepared and being solid with what you know about yourself gives you confidence to go speak to somebody. I think reform to me has been like the light at the end of the tunnel. Start to cry again. I think when you go into this and you're kind of lost and you go through this course and it steps you through and it's so logical and it hit me every day like, oh my God, this is me. And I think that when you get through with it and then you're practicing and you're like, wow, I'm going to actually get a job here. I'm not going to be unemployed forever. And you see, to me, that's what reform is. You're reforming your whole attitude about things and your confidence, and there's a light. And that's you at the employer at the next job. It's your next opportunity where you're going to be happier and more productive, and that's the next phase of your life. That's going to be great. So that's what reform's been to me. Having this is such a positive coursework to go through. And it's some people are like, they can not work, but when you don't have an option and you have to work through it, you just have to grit your teeth, have tenacity, and work through it. It is so powerful to have logical, fun, and I love the humor. I mean, that helps a lot. And throughout the coursework, and there'd be different humorous things, the way things are written. That was huge. So at least you can crack a smile when you're going through some of these parts of the course. When you're feeling like, God, I'm never gonna, how do I reinvent myself? How do I, what do I want to be? How can I incorporate everything? So it's just huge to have guidelines and systematic, reinforcing, logical things that make sense to you, and it's been huge. It's been just amazing. And I've recommended this to my friends who are also displaced now as of the first of the year. So it's been very powerful, and it's so different. It's so different. It's not like a headhunter. This is really a whole system to rethink and really understand that you have a lot to offer, and you don't get that from other people. This is a very unique course and system to go through. It really is. It's been wonderful. I've told my college-age kids about it, and they're like, wow, that sounds so different. I mean, that's just amazing. So it's not just for displaced housewives in their 50s. This is really for all different age groups of people who are just getting out of college. I'm like, gosh, so I have this psychology degree, but what do I really want to be? I mean, so I think it's really very broad-based. It can really appeal and help a lot of different age groups of people. So I think it's been great. I'm so fortunate that a good friend of mine recommended me to Joan, and I met her and jumped right on it. So I think that the biggest piece of advice is follow the process. Follow the process. Don't be afraid to go back a couple sections. So it's kind of like an ongoing resource for you. And that's the good news about it all. So take your time, don't be afraid to take a couple steps back and then move forward again. That was my advice.